guys, it's Megan from Create Your Future. Today, I am so happy that you're here with me. I have a course for you guys. I'm really excited. It is about recreating your specific person so you can have the love that you want, okay? So there is a workbook with this. I'm going to go through the stuff. You guys can follow along with me. You can stop this at any time you want to because there are going to be some activities in here as we go through here. So take all the time you need. So there's different concepts in here. I want to go through them. I know we've talked about them. You've heard them over and over again about everybody's you pushed out, mental diets, how not to react, and how we want to create your specific person or recreate them. So, you know, as always, there's goals. So I want you guys to have a better understanding of all this and how important it is. Also to kind of overcome your limiting beliefs that you might have with this. And again, addition to, like I've already said, to understand more in depth about everybody's you pushed out, your mental diets, also to find your blocks. So you are going to recreate your SP in this. And again, I'm going to give you some background information. You're going to have to apply these concepts to be able to recreate your specific person. I intend that each one of you will be able to understand that easily and effortlessly through this course. And if you need more help, you know, I'm here for coaching, and I can help you identify what your blocks are if you're not getting them from this course. I'm really good at that, but you also want to be very disciplined in this. But I'm here for anybody who needs additional help in coaching to identify their blocks and come up with different affirmations. But we are going to rewrite your specific person so you can have the relationship you want. I also create some intentions for you guys too. Some intentions you can say that I think will be helpful as well. Just intending to become a master manifester, to realize you get the love that you deserve. I also want you guys to intend that you are selecting a different version of somebody. Intend to stay in a strong mental diet, and tend to grasp how everybody's you pushed out works. Here's a quote from Neville. If we do not like what is happening to us, it is sure sign that we are in need of change of a mental diet. So again, that's saying whatever's happening on the outside that we're seeing for us to actually go inwardly. Okay, because we cannot stop talking to ourselves. We can't stop speaking to ourselves. We can't stop having these inner conversations. And those inner conversations and all those things are being outpictured onto our reality and is what is being created. So things you don't like can actually be changed internally. And so we're going to talk more about that. So right now, I want you to take a second and think about what is going on in your current reality. Just jot that down. Okay, so jot that down. You can pause this if you need to. And what don't you like about your current reality with your specific person? Describe how you feel. Okay, and be really honest about this. All right, if you need to pause this, go ahead. Okay, after that, I want you also to create an intention you want for your love life. For example, I intend to have better communication with my SP, or I intend for my SP to shower me with affection, or I intend to be in a committed relationship. So just come up with some desired outcome here and write that down. Here's another quote by Neville as well. So again, we can't stop talking to ourselves. I'm going to be stressing this over and over again. More people, I guess most people are usually arguing for fears and limitations, as well as arguing internally with their SP and why their SP should be treating them better. The thing is, we can change this all through our inner speech and what we want to focus on. Instead of arguing for our limitations, we want to start arguing for what we want to create in our reality and making that our dominant thought. And we'll talk more about that. But those inner conversations, they always are going on in our head, okay? So we want to start taking those unfavorable conversations and turning them into favorable conversations. Okay, again, I know that you've probably heard that everybody's you pushed out and that your thoughts create, but are you really, really grasping that? Okay, because that's stuff we want to look like. You are in control of your life and everyone in it. This isn't manipulation because you are constantly manifesting with your thoughts anyway. So people are always acting accordingly to match your inner thoughts, conversations, and feelings. You have the power to use your power. You have this power, so use it wisely to get what you want. Again, you're manifesting 24/7. This is not manipulation, so you might as well start using, and it's not a technique. Everybody's you pushed out is how the world works. So start using this to get what you want. So when you're recreating your SP, there are some, some things to go over. First of all, you are infinite and limitless. You can have anything you want. Okay, you're the operant power. 2, you also want to be clear on what you want because there are no limitations. So you want to be specifically clear on what you want in creating this. 3, you always have a choice to choose what you focus on. So focus on what you want, not the lack. Again, you're always manifesting. It doesn't stop. Your reality is a mirror. So I want you guys to remember, people are not outside of you. That's an illusion. They're only reflecting your limiting thoughts and your fears, as well as your lovely thoughts. There isn't anyone outside of you. They're just messengers. So when you think about your SP, remember they're not outside of you. Which brings me to the next point. There is nobody else. So give up that illusion. Again, everyone is showing up based on how you perceive them and what you're projecting onto them. They aren't doing anything without your thoughts about them. Okay, so even those unlovely thoughts that might be showing up, you're manifesting that because they have no free will. So if you want to text from Jerry, intend it. Don't argue externally for him to text you. Just see him as someone who is like ready to text. He's a good communicator. He likes doing that. Select the version of someone who wants to do that. 6, again, you wouldn't have this desire if you weren't supposed to have it fulfilled. Circumstances don't matter is the next thing. Okay, you've heard this over and over again, but it really doesn't matter because you create it with your thoughts anyway, so you can change it with your thoughts. Which brings me to the next point, is it's all very malleable. Okay, we can change anything we want. And don't settle. If someone tells you no, you don't have to settle for that. You just intend for the opposite. So let's say Jerry says, you ask Jerry for ice cream and he says no. Well, you don't have to externally argue with Jerry. You can go internally and intend for him to get you ice cream, and then he will think it's his idea. Again, stop trying to change the world since it's a mirror. Again, I can't stress this enough. No one is separate from you. Your SP is not separate. People are acting out your assumptions. So you want to make sure that you are having the best, most favorable assumptions of somebody. The person won't change unless you change your conception of that person. So this is very important when you're manifesting, recreating your SP. Okay? You want to make sure that you are projecting the best circumstances, best characteristics onto them. You are not a victim. People are conforming to you. So change your conception of somebody as someone who's respected. So let's say you feel like your SP is not respecting you. Well, again, they have no free will. So start changing, intending that you are someone that's respected and your SP respects you, and they will change. So people are messengers to the stories you project. So again, a little bit more background of everybody's you pushed out. You're the boss in your reality. Okay, so people are reflecting back to you what you're creating inside with your thoughts. You are the only person in your reality with free will. We have free will to choose our thoughts, okay? So they're just thoughts. So if you're thinking something unfavorable, switch into something favorable. Again, you're manifesting anyway. And again, you don't want to give your SP any free will. I don't care what they said. Don't give them power. Stop giving them that power. They did this or they said this because it was a thought that you projected onto them in the first place. So therefore, remind yourself that they have no free will and that your intentions win. Your SPs do not unless you say they do. So again, make it a declaration for yourself. My intentions are the only intentions in my reality that win because I'm the only person in my reality. So don't let your SP's intentions or what they're saying throw you off because they don't have any free will in your reality. Your reality is projected from your subconscious mind. Again, everything comes from within. No one can reject your intentions unless you say they do. So again, do not, do not give your SP free will. When creating your SP, you want to change your opinion of what others and their behaviors will change. So it's vital to see the best to change an unfavorable assumption. So it's vital to see the best in somebody. Otherwise, it's self-torture because it has to come back onto you. So don't stop judging and see the person differently, and their behavior will change. The other thing is your world is based on your assumptions. We're always manifesting. It doesn't stop. So let's say, for example, you have an assumption that women can't be trusted. Well, therefore, you're going to create everybody in your reality that are women to be untrustworthy. Okay? So when creating a person, recreating your person, you want to change your assumption to match what you want. So you want to change your inner conversations, your thoughts, your assumptions to match what you want to see being reflected back onto you, into your reality. Okay, so let's look at an example of this. Let's say I create Jerry to be late and he always disappoints me and I feel disappointed. Well, again, Jerry has no choice but to conform to that story that I created. So when it comes to recreating, we want to project a really good opinion on somebody. So what happens is we create people based on our assumptions and maybe not knowingly at first. So this could be done in different ways. You might have watched a TV show or Jerry's late 5 minutes at some point, and then your fear starts setting in. So then we ruminate on it and then we create a story. So maybe the first thing was Jerry not showing up on time, okay, because he's late. So that's it. But then all of a sudden we create a whole story around that where Jerry doesn't respect us, Jerry disappoints us, and we feel disrespected, we feel not cared for. So therefore, not just as Jerry late, we've created a story about ourselves not being good enough. We've also created a story where Jerry actually is not that great of a person because he's not respectful to us. Okay. So when we're just taking that example of that one little complaint of Jerry being late, you can see that there's a whole entire story surrounding that. So therefore, is Jerry not just late? We're not respected. He doesn't respect us. He doesn't have integrity. All these things. We also, need to change those intentions as well, or change those unfavorable circumstances into better circumstances. Okay. So now, if Jerry's late, we're also going to start intending that Jerry is respectful. Jerry respects my time. He's always showing up on time. He understands. Okay, so this is why it's really important to look at our complaints and see the story that's surrounding it so we can change the whole story. Because it's not just going to be one intention usually, it's going to be the whole background story behind that. And that's really important when we are recreating our specific person. Again, this is going into seeing, let's do another example. Okay, it is also it's important to see your SP with favorable qualities when recreating. Okay, reality is created again through your thoughts are being projected out, not the other way around. So it's internally going out and then it's being reflected back to you. Okay, so again, let's say that we create Jerry to be somebody that's really unforgiving. Okay, so if I create Jerry as someone being very unforgiving, I also see that saying that I'm not forgivable, Jerry is going to have no choice but to conform to that. So if I want to recreate Jerry, okay, so let's say I create Jerry as being someone as unforgiving, I must persist in my intentions that Jerry is understanding and forgiving and I'm forgivable. Okay, this goes to, I know sometimes we think that our SP is doing something to us, and then we perceive that and we get hurt and we retreat or we react because we're trying to protect ourselves. But actually, it's becoming from our thoughts that we created onto them, projected onto them, so they're acting that out. So again, if I created Jerry to be somebody who's unforgiving, I want to start intending and seeing Jerry as someone who is totally forgiving, and that he is understanding. So we're going to look at that unfavorable quality that I projected onto Jerry and change it. So I want you to do that for your SP as you're going through this, and start changing your unfavorable assumptions or whatever's showing up and change it into what you want. So again, why is it important to see your SP with favorable qualities? Because you want to live from the end. So let's look at this example. If I'm looking at Jerry always being late, okay, that's the story of which we've already talked about. That's an unfavorable thing. But not only is Jerry late, the story comes in, he disrespects me, he's selfish, he doesn't care. Again, he has no free will, so he has no choice but to keep showing up that way until I go internally and change that story. So living from that end, if I keep telling that story over and over again, living from that end, Jerry will keep showing up late because we keep telling the story. And you also, because I say it's disrespectful and doesn't respect my time, will also start doing things that are disrespectful. So that's why we want to change the story and project a different story onto Jerry with our thoughts. This is how you're going to recreate your specific person. The new story is that Jerry's always on time. He always respects me and he cares about my time. This new story allows us to now live from the end of Jerry being on time and being respectful. Also take note, you are speaking to Jerry in your mental diet, in your inner conversations anyway. So you're arguing for, even if you're not externally telling him you're late, you need to show up, you're probably internally arguing to. And guess what? It doesn't matter when you're doing whatever you're saying internally or externally is what's going to show up. So this is when you want to start going in. Okay, Jerry's late. I intend for Jerry to be on time. He respects my time. So this is also where you want to watch those inner conversations you're having with yourself about your specific person. And that's very vital when you're recreating. So everybody's you pushed out is based on your self-concept, how you view yourself in the relationship, how you view relationships, how you view men, women, or people. And remember, people are always conforming to you. So there's 70,000 thoughts a day. That's really impossible to micromanage every thought. So we really want to just focus on looking at our most dominant thought. So again, let's look at this, your self-concept. Let's look, if you have a self-concept, I'm always single. How you view yourself in relationships. This is just examples. Relationships don't work out for me. This is stuff I hear kind of with my clients. How you view relationships. Relationships are tough. How you view men or women. Let's say you have a thought process or assumption that men are cheaters. So people conforming to your assumptions. If you feel like you're always going to be single and people don't commit to you, or that relationships are hard, when you're recreating your SP to make them committed to you, you're kind of creating a block for yourself because you still have a story going on. I'm always single. People don't commit to me. Relationships are tough. Thus, you're going to want to change those assumptions as well when you're recreating your ideal relationship. So I want you to take a second right now and answer those questions for yourself. What's your self-concept? How do you view yourself in relationships? How do you view relationships? How do you view men or women or people? Are your assumptions favorable or not? What connections can you take a second and see what connections you can make with your assumptions, and be honest, because you're probably thinking this anyway. So this is a chance to be really honest, because you need to be aware of what you're thinking when you want to manifest what you want. So let's take this example of Let's take my example of this unfavorable assumptions and let's turn them into favorable assumptions. So if I have a self-concept of I am always single, change into favorable assumption. Everyone's a commitment with me. All right, if my unfavorable assumption of relationships, they don't work out for me. Okay, I change it into a favorable assumption. Relationships work out for me. How I view myself in relationships, an unfavorable one is relationships are tough. My favorable assumption changing is relationships are easy and effortless. How I view men or women, let's say my unfavorable assumption for my last example was men are cheaters. Then I want to change that into the men in my life are always very loyal to me. Okay, so how people are always conforming to your assumptions is vital to project the best onto them when you are recreating that person. So another example is if you think someone's a player, they're going to have to show up as a player. They have no choice but to act out what you are, the role that you're assigning to them. So if you don't want them to be a player, you have to project something on to them differently. What I want you to do right now, though, is look at your unfavorable assumptions that we created in the before, and I want you to change them into favorable assumptions, just as I did. Those are my examples. You take a second and take your unfavorable assumptions and change them into favorable. If you needed to pause the video, that's fine. Again, I can't stress this enough. We can't stop talking to ourselves. What we want to do is become very aware of what we're saying, because everything we're saying is an affirmation and has the ability to show up in our reality. So when we're recreating someone, we must stay on a strong mental diet, which is making sure that we are focusing on what we want to show up, not what is not showing up. Remember, we can't stop talking to ourselves. So it's becoming aware of what we're saying with those inner conversations and changing them into what we want to focus on, which is what we want to create in our reality. Again, our dominant thoughts are the ones that's being created and outpictured. So again, I said you can't micromanage 70,000 thoughts. And even Neville said it's where you reside the most. So it's the state you reside in the most. So wherever you're going to the most in your thoughts is what's going to show up in your reality. So again, we're always manifesting anyway. So just frame your affirmations and intentions on what you want to create. So let's look at this. Dominant thoughts and feelings about yourself create your story. So your mental conversations about yourself and your SP and relationships are being projected out. So again, inner conversations and what you're talking to yourself in your head all day is how your world is shaped, not the other way around. Remember, you're projecting your assumptions onto others, and they have no free will but to act out your assumptions. Subconscious mind, it doesn't care if you want it or not. It can't tell the difference. It hears it, and it's your command. So make sure your dominant thoughts, it's going to be outpictured, whatever your dominant thought is. So just remember, it doesn't care if you want it or not. It's hearing what you're saying, and it's going to be outpictured. So look at your fears that you wrote and turn those into opposites. Okay? So I am worthy of a loyal partner, and I intend that all partners are loyal to me. I am pretty enough. Men always make commitments to me. I'm worthy of having a committed relationship. I am the person who always gets a commitment. So these are just examples. But look at the story that we had created about ourselves before about I'm always going to be single. What are those things under them always going to be single? Okay? What are those fears? And then turn them into different intentions under there, just like I did. Okay, so these are examples I came up with. So look at your list and create the opposite intentions. All right, next thing I want you to do is I want you to list your fears and complaints out on a sheet of paper about your current situation, how your SP is showing up. Okay, and also how this makes you feel. All right, so go ahead and do this. So you can see my example here. All right, so again, if I am projecting unfavorable circumstance of Jerry being late, that is the thing that's showing up, but then there's a whole background story. So these are all the complaints that are there, okay? So this is how it works. We project things onto our SP, and then we associate meaning about these projections onto them. Then we make it mean that they're bad people or we're not good enough. So again, if I had something that showed up, I had maybe just had a thought process that Jerry, people like that look like Jerry or men in my life or people can be late, it shows up. That happens. And then I start making it mean that I'm disrespected, Jerry's a jerk, da 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 da. That's the story. So I want you to take your complaints and look at this and be honest, because this is so vital when you're recreating somebody to really be aware of what you're thinking and see the story behind it and changing the whole story. So again, taking this unfavorable circumstance about Jerry being late, for example, that's unfavorable. I created that. So now I want to come up with an intention to say the opposite of the unfavorable circumstance. So this is my example, and then I want you to do your own. So my first one is Jerry's always on time. So I can say I intend for Jerry to always be on time. And then also remember my backstory, I'd also have to go into Jerry's always respectful of me. Jerry always treats me like a priority. I am priority. Everybody in my reality respects me. Jerry always follows through with what he says. Jerry's always consistent. Jerry puts as much time into our relationship as I do, if not more. He understands how being on time is important to me. So see, just that one thing about him being late, I had that whole story. So I had to go in there and change all that story with different intentions. So I want you to pause this right now and do the same thing for yourself, for your intentions, for your specific persons, for those complaints. Again, I just want to point out the reason why we're doing this is because everything's empty and meaningless. We give meaning, okay? We're meaning-making machines. So again, if I'm going to that point of Jerry being late, I created that unconsciously, forgot I created, then I battled it, and then I make it mean that Jerry's a bad person and Jerry doesn't want to be with me and I'm not good enough. But really, it was just because I had a thought that Jerry might be late. So that's why I just wanted to point that out to remind yourself, when we're doing this, everything is kind of empty and meaningless. We create meaning behind it. So take a second and reflect on something in your life that you've created and how it made you feel that you weren't good enough. Just think it, jot it down on paper and script about it, write about it, because it's going to be important. Next, I want you to stop the video and answer these questions. Take as much time as you need. Okay, let's create the relationship that you want. I want you to be specific. Remember when I started this video, I said one of the most important things is to be specific. So when you're doing this, what does your relationship look like? How do you want to be treated? And remember, no need to feel like you're being selfish or manipulative here because you're manifesting anyway, so you might as well manifest the outcome that you want. Okay, so you can label these in your notes. So we're going to look at your ideal version. And again, I don't care what's showing up or what you think is unfavorable. You can change whatever you want. So create a list of how you want your SP to show up. Here's some of my examples here. You can look at those. And again, you create intentions or just statements. I intend for my SP to be always on time. I intend for my SP to be loyal. He has a great career. Go through whatever you want. And this is just a short list. Go through whatever you want. Take as much time as you need and be specific. Also, I want you to look at communication. I've noticed with a lot of clients, communication style, love language is a big thing as well. So you can also create that. How is your SP's communication style? What is their love language? You can add, do they validate my feelings? What hobbies do they have? You can create anything. So, keep going with your list with that. Okay, also, write down write down how you want to be treated, and how you want to feel. So here are my examples. I intend to feel like I'm a priority. I intend to feel safe and secure. I intend to have my feelings validated. I intend to feel confident. I intend to feel adored. Okay, those are mine. Now I want you to take a second and create your list. And these are just short ones, create as many as you want. Go big here, guys. You can have whatever you want in your reality. Don't settle. Look at your favorite love stories out there. Look at those characters, what they're getting. You can have what you want in your reality. Okay. Also, when you're recreating your specific person, I want you to look at, what does your relationship look like? Take a second and write this down. Are you constantly communicating and going on dates? Don't settle for anything less than what you want. So maybe you want your specific person to constantly text you. Maybe you want 27 text messages a day. That's okay. So be specific. My SP texts and calls me all the time. We can't get enough of each other. We are each other's best friends. We see each other daily. Our relationship is strong, and my SP loves everything about me. So go ahead and create that list. What is your ideal relationship? Like, how's the communication look? How does the time spent together? Are you incorporating each other in each other's family and lives? How do you want your ideal relationship to look like? Remember, this is just like this whole thing that you're manifesting is like a movie. It's like your reality. So you get to have what you want. Don't like limit yourself or settle. Be specific. Some people say, oh, getting a text message, getting 50 text messages a day is needy. Well, it's your reality. So if you want 50 text messages a day and you like that constant communication, you're allowed to have it. Hearing what others say is also helpful in manifesting. Clients always come to me and often tell me that others say what they say about the relationship. And sometimes it's usually not in a good way. So now think about what others are saying about your relationship. Are they saying what you want to hear? Are they saying, hey, you can do better? Change what is being said negatively and add what you want others to say. What do you want to hear others say about your relationship? Think about what your families and friends are saying about about your relationship. What are they saying, negative things or positive things? Okay, that's what we're going to think about. This is vital because these are also part of our inner conversations that are going on. It's being out pictured. What do you want others to think about you guys in public? Do you want them to say, oh my gosh, I'm so envious, they're so in love? So examples are, people say we're so in love. People call us the power couple. People say that we have the best relationship. People say that so lucky that so and so loves me so much, that so and so adores me. Write that stuff down as well, how you want others to see your relationship as well, because again, that's a great tool for manifesting. So our new story is based on the list that we created. This is your new version of your SP. Your job now is not to allow the old story to creep in or allow fears and doubts to take you off course. In addition, you don't even want what your SP is doing to take you off course. So if they're saying something, even as you're recreating them, there's going to be that time lag there. So you cannot let them throw you off course because you are the master creator. You are the only person who can create your reality. They can't. Anything they're saying is just a past manifestation anyway, so don't give it lip service. Okay, your list, which you just created, is your new story, like I said. So you must, every time you have a negative or doubtful thought that your manifestation and relationship with your SP, stop yourself immediately and change it into a positive intention. So again, here's an example. If you think Jerry, like one of your complaints was Jerry's a bad texter, he never treats me like a priority. What is wrong with me? You have to stop yourself in that moment. Okay, this is a moment to moment when you're feeling this anxiety and these things are showing up. You can't just say your intentions, once a day. If this is showing up, it's when you're thinking about it, when these things are showing up. So you're seeing, if you have a story, Jerry's not a good texter, it has to stop right there as it goes down, as that thought comes in. I am good enough. It is easy and effortless for me to manifest my SP. Jerry's always texting me and telling me how important I am to him. Every single time. I don't care what's showing up. You have to stick on that new story. The old story cannot be repeated. I can't stress this enough. I don't want you to dwell on the old memories of what your SP said or did in the past, or you're going to recreate that. And I know you don't want that. I know you want the new relationships. So no matter what, you have to be disciplined in this. So intend. You can just make an intention. I intend to let this old story go, and I intend that to be easy. Okay, so by now we know that our thoughts create and we're projecting things on there. So I'm going to say this again, you must be disciplined and persistent as this happens. Recreating keeps your story alive, or I'm sorry, reacting keeps your story alive. Okay, so you want to minimize your reactions. You created it, even if you don't realize it. Focusing on the past hurts will keep it alive and will keep recreating it, and you'll be stuck in that circle over and over again. Reacting, when I say reacting, I'm talking about internally and externally. It's not just arguing externally with your SP, but internally, those internal conversations. You want to stop those as well. You also don't want to tell your SP how angry you are or need to change them or that. That's a waste of time. Remember, everything is projected outwardly, so you need to go inwardly. I know you're human, so you're going to have some slip-ups, and if it happens, just get back on the horse, okay? But the main thing is you want to stop those reactions as much as possible because you don't want to keep that story alive. Reminders to help you as you recreate your SP. Okay, again, there's a transition period, so stay persistent. You're the only one who has free will, so keep remembering that. If you focus on the bad things, you're going to create more bad things. So you only want to focus on the new version of your SP. Even if they're showing up unfavorable, you have to stay in your intentions and your mental diet and inner conversations till it shows up. It is no choice but to show up. And it doesn't have to take very long either. This doesn't have to be like months out here. You can change things pretty quickly if you're focusing on the new version of your SP, the conception of yourself, the new version of your relationship, and as long as you're not ruminating on that old version. All right, let's look at an example in real time of Jerry. Let's look at that example before when I talk about Jerry always being late. You created your new story now with your intentions. Read those over and over when he shows up late, okay? Because he's probably going to be that transition period. So you still need to be persistent in showing up. So if my assumption is Jerry's always late, my new mantra is I intend for Jerry to always be on time, respect and love and adore me. Jerry shows late. Okay, so that's what you've been saying, but what happens in the real time? Jerry shows up late. What do you do? Okay, this is what you do because this is going to happen. All right, so this is real life, so it's going to happen. So you notice Jerry's late. So Jerry is always on time. He is respectful of my time. He understands how important it is for him to show up on time, and he always keeps his word. Okay, so you do not react internally or externally. You stay in the new version and intention regardless of what is showing up. Jerry has no free will to conform. Okay, so you must persist in your new version and do not look at that old version. So he shows up late, you go straight to your new version and your new mental diet, your inner conversations, no matter what. Let's look at another example. If you have an unfavorable assumption, Jerry is an awful texter. All right, you create a new story. Jerry's a great texter. He's great at communicating with me. He sends me 24 texts a day. He's always so open and romantic in his texts. He loves texting and he communicates with me. When you see Jerry behaving like the old version, you want to stick to the new version no matter what. So you must remember your intentions within. Your SP is not separate, and you must project a loving story onto your SP no matter what. And again, I don't care what they're saying and what they're doing. If they're saying, oh, I don't really like texting. I told you this, babe. I didn't like texting. You've always known this. No. That's the old version of Jerry. We don't care. The new version is Jerry's a great texter. He loves texting me. He sends me 24 texts a day. I don't care what's showing up, even if it's just a word K. Okay, even if you're just getting that the first day, K. Nope, Jerry's a great texter. Jerry loves texting me. He texts me 24 times a day. Stick to this no matter what, and it will conform because Jerry has to conform to you. So watch those inner conversations. Stop yourself if you want to go down the old story of Jerry's a bad texter. I don't even know if manifestation is not happening. No, it is happening. Jerry's a great texter. He's a great communicator. He sends me 1,000 text messages a day. He sends me emojis. You know, whatever you want. You just want to make sure, again, that you're putting more energy and more focus on what you want to create. Okay, that's what we're doing. Reprogramming our mind. Instead of focusing on what we don't want, we're focusing on what we do want. Because again, our subconscious mind does not care if we want it or doesn't want it or do not want it. It's going to give us our dominant focus. So we are reprogramming to focus on what we want, no matter what, because people have no free will in our reality except to conform to what we're thinking. Again, we can't stop talking to ourselves, and we often seek others for validations or repeat our old story. So we go internally and try these techniques instead of reacting and calling our friends and family and saying, Jerry's such a bad texter. I can't believe he did this and that again. No, you need to go internally. So here's some techniques, the telephone technique. You can hear them tell you all the things you want. So you can hear your specific person because you're arguing with them anyway. So, you're not sitting there visualizing what they're saying when they're arguing with them, not texting you. So you don't have to sit here and visualize exactly them saying and hear their voice the same, the exact way, but you could do these things, okay? You can hear them saying what you want. You can also pretend that you're telling a friend, your friend, how amazing, okay? Jerry's so great at texting. Our relationship's amazing. He just adores me, okay? You can do that. We can hear what others say. Your friends could be saying something back to you. Oh my gosh, you and Jerry have the best relationship ever. He is not the same person. Your guys' relationship is the best thing I have ever seen. I'm jealous. I didn't think you guys were going to work out, but now I see Jerry's changed his way, and you guys have the best relationship. So what I want you to do is take a second, write down a conversation here in your SP affirm, just like if you want to go back to the other slide, you can use it. That was my example, but I want you to come up with a conversation here in your SP affirm, what you want to hear, a conversation that you would say to your best friend or someone in your family affirming your new story, or a conversation that you would hear about someone else affirming your new relationship. Okay, and this is going to be something in your toolbox. So, we're doing this now, but if you're in the heat of the moment, something's happening, showing up your reality, and you're saying, I intend, you could also use this telephone technique too to help you snap you out of that old story and start, manifesting the favorable outcome that you want. So again, I would just want to emphasize anybody outside of you, your SP being outside of you is an illusion. They're only created by your thoughts. You're in control and you get to choose your story that you want to create in your reality. When creating, it is vital to remember it doesn't matter what they are saying. You're the only person whose intentions have power in your reality. So every single time, if you think, well, they said this and that, nope, doesn't matter. I'm the only one that has intentions. My intentions win in my reality. Okay, no matter what. Well, they said this. Nope, that's the old version. This is happening now. I'm not giving them any lip service. That old version doesn't exist. This is what's happening now because my intentions win. My SP has no free will in my intention. Do not care what they're saying if it does not align with what you want. Some other tips are allow them to change, okay? Remember, there can be a time delay. So you need to not react to what's showing up. So let's say, for instance, Sherry doesn't show up on time right away. You don't want to react and think the law isn't working, okay, or that you're doing something wrong. Let Jerry time to change, and he will conform as he has no free will. If you react, you're delaying what you want. If you do not react, you aren't. Let's say you do react, though, don't judge yourself, realize you're human, get back on there. But again, you want to, if he's not showing up, like just the intention of Jerry being late, you stay persistent till Jerry shows up on time. Okay, if you feel stuck, go back and reread your new story. We have a lot of stuff here. Remind yourself that you're the only person in your reality that has power. Affirm the new story in the mental diet. Remind yourself that things can change quickly. Don't feel like this has to be stuck here forever. And if you reacted, it's going to take more time. No, just get back on the horse. Revise any unwanted circumstance. So if you get a text you don't like, or your specific person says something that you don't like, you can just revise it right then and there. So, again, hey, I don't want to see you. Oh, I can't wait to see you on Friday. You're the love of my life. Remind yourself that your SP is going to conform to you, not the other way around. And I keep saying that, but that is just so important to remember when you're recreating. You must change your thoughts about your SP and yourself and your circumstances into favorable ones because, again, it's being projected out. Okay, do not go back and think about any old memories that were unfavorable or thinking about anything that happened in the past. You can just say, I intend to release this past stories. They're not serving me. It is also vital to understand how this works fundamentally on a different level. And I think like sometimes we hear about this and then people go straight into wanting just to manifest their SP and they're not really putting this on a fundamental level. So this was a game changer for me, and I tell everybody to do this. Figure out how everybody's you push up. Figure out how your thoughts create. Figure out how you manifest. So try this for a week, write down what you want to manifest. It will build your confidence. Here's some examples I have here. And do this on a weekly basis and see how your thoughts create. See how everybody's you push out. It will lower your resistance and make things a lot easier to see how nobody has free will, and you'll be able to take that, how you manifest in any certain situation, and also apply that to your SP, as well as lower your resistance to see how your SP has no free will in your reality. Okay, our inner conversations was shaping our future reality. What we see now is the past. If you want to recreate your SP, you can. Just hold your inner conversations with your mental diet according to what you want. You need to change what you think internally with your mental diet, your inner conversations, and then your SP will change. Okay? I intend that you all have the love that you deserve, because you all do deserve it. You're all perfect. I'm here to help you coach and help motivate you, keep you on track. If you need to talk, if you need me to help you figure out your blocks, help with affirmations, keep you persistent, I'm here to help you with that. I've done this with my SP, so I know how this works. I'm not just saying this, I know how this works. So again, if you need any more help in recreating your SP, I'm here as a coach. If not, I intend that each one of you can have the love of your life and recreate your specific person how you want them to show up in your reality, because you deserve it. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me on this course, and I intend for you guys to have amazing results, and I know you will. All right, bye-bye.